Hello.
Hello, welcome back to your favorite show.
It's your favorite show. Congratulations to you on making it all the way to Ep 102.
102.
Hey, you're listening to the Island Shuffle 102.5.
And it's ready for the radio.
It's ready for the radio. Catch us on CBC 102.5. St. John's finest.
Is that really what it is there?
No, it's probably
it's
like
98.1 in PEM.
I think it's also a 90. I think 98.1 is the universal
I think
one.
here it's 88.5 or 88.1 I don't know.
Remember-
My God, get off my back.
Remember the radio?
No.
What household? What was your home's radio station of choice? Because my parents, it was definitely CBC, to the point where I feel like if I heard old CBC jingles, I would be sent into like it would unlock memories that I'd forgotten.
I listen to CBC radio every single day currently. That's not a joke.
How are they doing?
They're great.
Great.
It's become my morning ritual. From like 9:30 to 11, I am listening to CBC radio.
Is it like cool stuff, or is
I
it
catch
just like
the end of The Current and the first hour of Q.
Oh man! And is it every? Have you ever come away from it disappointed?
No, never. This is CBC radio we're talking about.
Yes. Okay. Great. I'm glad we can all agree that CBC radio is
Doesn't
good.
disappoint.
Doesn't disappoint. and with that, we're excited to announce that we will no longer be putting this podcast on noisepace.xyz. We are moving firmly and finally to our official slot on CBC Radio 1, where you're hearing us now live.
I want to be on CBC radio 69. Or CBC radio 420.
Oh my
or
god.
even CBC radio 13.
Oh my god.
Because that's unlucky.
Are there even that many radio stations out there today? Because if you ask me, the radio, not a lot of people listen to it anymore.
Hey, have you forgotten about cars?
Yes. What are those?
I forgot.
You forgot too?
Yeah.
Well,
but sometimes I listen to CBC radio at like 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and they do traffic updates every like 6 minutes, and it's so weird.
Yeah, since most radio listeners are probably in a car, that makes sense. It's
To me, who hasn't been in a car in months.
As someone who does not drive to get around the city, that seems baffling. I understand I imagine it's a lot of like, well, it's still fucked up on the bridge.
That is what they say.
And it's still fucked up on
and Atwater is backed up, and it's down to one lane on the Cartier Bridge.
I imagine with the amount of construction in the city and also the like amount of bridges and like congestion through to that you require, like there's only like one way really to get to the West Island, as I understand, and like off island obviously is a big to do. So like I imagine if you're using a car, you're probably not living on the island, so you have to use these like really congested spaces, and then also add on to that the construction that's constantly fucking wacky mode.
But they're on vacation right now. It's the construction holiday begins today.
It does?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means they just stopped constructing.
Wait.
So for the next 2 weeks, there's no construction.
But there's definitely there's still
it's not. It won't advance. They just leave it how it is. It's like, that open pit right beside your house that like they tore it up last week.
Yep.
They're going to leave it like that for a while.
Well, I mean, honestly, my neighborhood has always needed a good pit.
Yeah.
Every time I'm walking down the sidewalk, I'm thinking to myself, just walking in a straight line is so boring. I wish it was more like an arcane maze.
It's so weird.
I wish I got to gauge how close I have to get to the cars to navigate these roads.
It's, I like how here... It's like, so there's the most recent corner in specific that I'm thinking of is the corner of Beaubien and Saint-Dominique, which is a corner I go by every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And it has always been fine.
Yes.
I've never found a problem with it. And then one day, like probably like 1/4 of it was ripped up.
Sure.
And that was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Sure.
Nothing has ever happened.
Yeah.
There's confirmed going to be no progress for 2 more weeks. And I just wonder why.
It
seemed like they did it way too early.
It's baffling, isn't it?
It seems like the ripping up crew and the constructing crew are 2 different crews, and they do not talk to each other whatsoever.
All I can say is it's true what they say. There's 2 seasons here in Canada: winter and construction.
Oh my goodness. You forgot about the 5th season. Hockey
season.
Roll up the rim to win season.
Win season.
Pogey season.
Maple Leaf season. Province season.
What?
Province season.
Province season?
Yeah, this is the season where we have provinces.
That's every frickin' season.
Yeah.
What about
I think it's
Lent?
Yeah.
Advent. I'm on the Christian calendar.
Oh, you're on the Judeo-Christian calendar.
I'm on the Judeo-Christian calendar.
Oh, how tell me about your preparations for Ash Wednesday, James.
Oh my God!
What do you?
Are
guys
you talking about my Ash Wednesday Eve?
Yes. How's that looking?
So
I know.
Get everything burnable that I can find.
Yes.
And I douse it in gasoline, and I wait until 12 a.m. And at 12 a.m. I light the match, and I watch it burn for a while.
Sure.
Then I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's still burning.
Sure.
And I wake up, and everything around me is just a pile of ashes.
Sure.
And I go, Ash Wednesday.
Yeah. That's how. Honestly, I grew up in a pretty Christian household in a pretty Christian community. Boy, that's a place that needs some construction, because every year at Ash Wednesday we all burn down our houses in the middle of the night.
Everything.
We burn it all down. All I got to say about Christian holidays, I'm getting ready for Palm Sunday, and I'm gonna have the sickest palm frond of them all.
Oh my God!
You know I'm carrying
to Florida to get my palms this year.
I am definitely gonna get the biggest, swaggiest palm frond, and I am flapping it everywhere. I'm flapping it every which way. I don't care who sees it.
I have a confession about Ash Wednesday.
Yes.
To bring it back to Ash Wednesday, because I know the listeners weren't done with the Ash Wednesday material.
Of course, they were like, fuck Palm Sunday.
Yeah, we were still engaged. So there's 52 Wednesdays in the year.
Of course.
There's one where I celebrate Ash Wednesday.
Sure.
And then the other 51, for me at least, are Hash Wednesday.
Oh.
When you smoke that good marijuana hash.
Oh, baby. Do you ever get them mixed up? Do you ever show up to Ash Wednesday with an intact house and just ripped and stoned?
Yes.
And everybody says...
So embarrassing.
So embarrassing. God.
Or you show up to Hash Wednesday and your house is burnt down.
Yeah.
And you're completely dry.
Honestly, this is just the wild thing about the Bible is that it does mandate that all other 51 Wednesdays are Hash Wednesday.
Our Hash Wednesday, yeah.
It's true. You know what?
Oh, but there's one Wednesday where, because I mostly pay debit.
Yes.
But not on the third Wednesday of September.
Cash Wednesday.
That's Cash Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That's Cash Wednesday.
Oh, man. Well, normally we record on Wednesdays. And what do we record? It's the podcast called The Island Shuffle.
And this Wednesday, actually, we're wearing our little things to celebrate that we won the
election,
the beauty pageant.
Oh,
it's Sash Wednesday.
It's Sash Wednesday. It is Sash Wednesday.
Yeah.
Happy Wednesday. This podcast goes up on Thursday,
but
you can listen to it on a Wednesday if you want to.
Yeah. No, you can't. Not unless it's Podcast Wednesday.
Podcast Wednesday.
Podcast Wednesday. So we watched the show Lost.
We watched the show Lost. We watched it in the wrong order, and this week we watched season 1, episode 17 called
Lost
Lost in Translation. Lost in Translation.
In translation.
With the lost being implied.
Lost in Translation. Yeah. It's about Bill Murray.
It's about Bill Murray.
And Scarlett Johansson.
And they go to Japan, and they are just fish out of water.
They're just lonely people.
They're lonely, and they're rich, and they're sad. And you know what? Tokyo's a big metropolis, and they all look at all the noise, and they go, well, we're sad now. But then they whisper to each other, and it's fine.
See you in the hotel bar, my dear sad Murray. And then he says, "You got it, Johansson.
You got it, Joe. Scarly Jolie.
Scarly Jolie.
What are you having tonight, Scarlett?" says Bill Murray out loud. And Scarlett says, "I will have my favorite beverage, a piping hot beer." Honestly, it's naturalistic dialogue like that makes you see why it got nominated for
Barkeep,
screenplay.
could you stick it in the microwave again? Just another 30-second shit too.
And in Japan, they don't have hot beer.
No, they don't have hot beer.
And this is just another way they are isolated.
Yeah.
Speaking of isolated, you know who's isolated from the other cast members? Jin.
Jin is isolated from the other cast members. You know why? Because he doesn't speak the same language as them. And he has different, weird customs. So, we begin, and Jin is on the beach, and then we see that Sun walks onto the beach in a bikini, and Jin freaks out. This is where we discover that Jin is super misogynist.
Like how in season 1, Sawyer is just plain old racist.
Yeah.
In season 1, Jin's just big time misogynist.
Yeah, it's very weird. He takes a blanket and throws it on her, and then they yell.
They yell at each other, and so we've had scenes like this in the past. There's a scene I think we see where they're on the plane, and Sun has an unbuttoned shirt, like literally like her collar is unbuttoned. And Jin's like, "Cover yourself up," and it's like, "Jeez, what the heck?" But at least that's like it is misogynistic to like a cartoonish degree.
Yeah.
But at least that's based in like sense.
Yeah.
Like here, Jin is like trying to like wrap Sun up like she's a burrito.
It's so weird.
And
it's
Sun's
like
like
she's on the beach, and it's like this is her bathing suit.
Yeah.
Did you guys not have this conversation before?
Yeah, it's truly.
You're married.
Yeah. What?
Hasn't this happened once? Have you never gone swimming? I mean, Jin grew up in the ocean.
Yes. He grew up on the floor of the ocean.
He grew up on the seabed.
Yeah, everybody's this as Sun is like trying to like wrestle away, and like Jin is like it's basically turning into a fight almost.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of being like, "Well, what the heck there they go again. Oh boy, should we do anything?" And you cut to all the survivors. Jack's there like, "I don't know, it's not our business." Eventually Michael steps in. Michael, the hero, says, "Hey, you take your hands off her, Jin. I swear to God, if you lay one more hand on her, what am I gonna do?"
And then Michael gets clocked by Sun.
What?
She slaps him.
Yeah, big move by Sun. Honestly,
Big move by Sun. And then it's over.
That's it.
That's it. That's all.
Scene resolved, and everything's fine from here on out.
And then it's just Bill and Scarlett for the rest of the episode.
And they sit at the hotel bar and they trade drink recipes, and they say, and Bill Murray says, "You ever hear of this one? It's called a gin and tonic. What you do is you take mostly tonic water, but you put a little bit of gin in there. Tastes kind of like club soda, but it does have gin in it, I promise." And Scarlett Johansson says, "This is unheard of."
"I just invented a new drink," says Scarlett Johansson. "Hot gin and tonic." You take a gin and tonic and you put it in the microwave for 6 minutes on low. You gotta heat it real slowly. I'm Scarlett Johansson, and you might know me from the movie Lost in Translation.
It's really interesting how they play themselves in the film. Bill Murray plays himself, and Scarlett Johansson, just like in real life, loves microwaving beers and cocktails.
She loves hot alcoholic beverages.
Of course, who doesn't?
Oh
on
my God.
On a cold day, what will toast you up like a microwaved Tom Collins?
Like a microwave Tom Collins. As soon as you put the little waves in there.
Mm-hmm.
They should call Ripple chips microwaved chips because there's little waves in the chips.
No, they shouldn't.
It would be confusing.
It would be confusing. They would think that you put the chips, you cooked them in the microwave.
Yeah, I guess that's.
They'd open up the bag and they'd say, these chips are not hot. These are not hot like the beers I like to drink.
Scarlett Johansson would be very displeased.
What would Scarlett Johansson say?
She would say, "Put this back in the microwave." I'm Scarlett Johansson.
She's always announcing who she is, which is very humble of her.
So then what? I don't remember what happens.
So we get a scene where Michael's building the raft. Sun goes up to Michael while he's building the raft and explains herself. Basically says, like, you know, Michael's basically like, why do you put up with that from him? He's the way he treats you. Oh, it riles me up so. And Sun says, you don't understand. I slapped you to protect you from Jin. You don't know what he's capable of. Alarming sentiment.
It is an alarming sentiment.
He's saying that Jin is a violent person.
Yeah.
And everybody's been all above about how they're always getting into fights.
Yeah.
There's a conclusion you could draw here that is not savory.
No, it's unsavory.
Instead, what Michael does, with all the information Michael has, Michael says, he says, you know what? It's not my problem. It's your problem. And it's like, cool, great way to be an ally, Michael.
Michael is bad again.
Michael is bad again. Michael was good for a second, but then he was like, well, I give up. I got slapped, so I give up.
I give up.
I'm done. My empathy juice ran out. Now I gotta build the raft.
And he does.
He sure does.
But wait. Then the nighttime comes.
Wait. Nighttime doesn't come quite yet.
Never mind.
Because Jin is blowing off some steam on the golf course, as you do.
Oh, yeah. This is insane.
He's hitting rocks on the golf course.
Weird.
He's not. They have golf balls. He's just hitting rocks. He's hitting sweet little rocks, and every time he hits them, he makes a grunting sound because it hurts, probably.
I wonder how much golf Jin has played. Firstly, I don't know what the state of golf is in Korea, but I know that he was very poor up until very recently, so I would imagine didn't play any golf.
And recently...
started working every second of every day.
Yes, he was
half a year ago.
He was so occupied that he couldn't spend time with his wife. We'll get into it.
Where do you find time to take up a liking for golf?
You know what? Sometimes he's thinking, you know what? No better time than the present. I couldn't cover up my wife. Better learn to golf.
I couldn't cover up my wife. Better learn to golf. Famous quote from Jin.
Direct quote from Jin. Famous inspirational quote from Jin.
I think I have that on a poster it's like of a cat. And it says, you see the words "hang in there, kitty" up top, but it's scratched out, and it came like this. I bought it like this. And then it says, I couldn't cover up my wife, so time to learn to golf. And then it says Jin.
Yep, quote Jin. And that's just, sometimes a quote. I think there's a lot of quotes from this show that are very iconic and can be like used in a lot of ways. Don't tell me what I can't do. Don't mistake coincidence for fate. I didn't. I already forget the whole construction.
I couldn't cover up my wife.
I couldn't cover up my wife.
So on and so forth.
So time to learn to golf. So I better learn to golf.
Keep another hot beer, please.
So Hurley comes up with a hot beer.
Yeah.
And says, also, here things are tough, so I got us 2 fishing poles. What do you say we go fishing? And Jin just gives him the cold shoulder. And then Hurley says, come on, I'm trying. And then eventually says, all right, fine. You want to be an outsider? That's your business.
And it's like Hurley, he doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand English. There's a lot to criticize Jin for. But to just be like, well, I guess he just wants to be an outsider. He's just choosing this.
So he just wants to be alone for a minute.
Yeah, he wants to hit some rocks. Let a boy hit some rocks.
He couldn't cover up his wife.
Let him learn to golf.
It's time to learn to golf. It's weird. It's a rare Hurley is being dumb moment.
Yes, it's like he comes in with good intentions, and at first I was like, yeah, Hurley is trying to be the peacemaker, but he just gives up.
He
because
gets so frustrated so quick.
So quick.
And he's like, yeah, you want to be an outsider? And it's like, I don't know that he wants
It's
to.
literally like a step removed from like, learn English, buddy.
Exactly.
It's just like, don't like, be patient, please. Mike is trying to relate to his kid by talking about buildings.
Oh, this is dumb.
This is a funny scene. Michael is trying to be a dad to Michael, and he's like, "You're gonna." Sorry, Michael's trying.
I'm gonna be my own dad now.
Michael decides to I'm my own dad now and throws Walt away.
He throws him into the burning bush.
He fucking does a big windmill fastball pitch and throws him all the way into the jungle and says, I'm my own dad now, and that means I'm my own son too.
And then the rest of the scene takes place, but you do see Walt riding Vincent out of the jungle like halfway through the rest of the scene.
That's true.
In the background.
And you like to see it, and you see it and you go, yay!
Whoopity! Whoopity!
It's really hot in here, so we're definitely a little looser than usual, I think, but all that is true. But before that happens, Michael tries to relate to his son on a one-on-one level. He says, boy, when we get to New York, you're going to love it. You know what I love most about New York's? The buildings. Oh, you got to see this one building. It's called the Flatiron. It's the oldest skyscraper in the city. And when I saw it, I said, I'm going to take up drawing and construction. And you're going to see it and you're going to love it. Right, kid? You want to see it, right, kiddo? And the whole time, Walt is obviously like, whatever.
Yeah, talk about something not stupid.
Talk about
You're
Pokemon.
on an island, idiot.
You're talking about... There's no buildings here.
Yeah.
Come on. Talk about Pokemon.
Talk about Pokemon. Talk about
Fortnite.
Yeah, talk about chilling in the park with your friends.
Talk about
Hash Wednesday.
Talk about Palm Sunday.
Yeah, talk about grease your palm Sundays.
Dad, what's your favorite Christian holiday?
Oh, I like... Give me a second.
Okay.
I like Holy Thursday.
Dad, I don't think that's a real Christian holiday. Can I go play with Vincent and ride him off into the jungle while you become your own dad?
I will throw you now.
Wee!
Wee! Goodbye, son. Hello, Michael. It's me, Michael. I'm your father.
And interrupting this, Jack says, whatever weird shit you're doing to be your own dad, it's none of my business, but I gotta ask you, how's the raft coming along? And this is basically the scene where Sawyer comes along and says, I'm got a spot on the raft now, baby.
I'm a raft boy.
I gave him all the cable I salvaged, and Michael says, like, well, he had the supplies. He had the monies, by which I mean the supplies I needed to build the raft, so he gets a spot. And he's like, well, I'm something racist probably.
Yeah. Well, I will commit a big crime later.
Anyways, then it is nighttime. Then it is finally nighttime.
Yeah.
Nighttime arrives, and when nighttime arrives, people start to see a light. And what is the light? It's not the sun, because it's nighttime. Bad news. It's a big friggin' fire.
It's the raft is on fire.
The raft is on fire.
People are upset.
People are throwing sand. People are trying to deal with it. People are going and everybody's like, oh no. And mid-fire,
Michael finally arrives.
Michael arrives, turns to Son and says, where is he? Where's Jin? I know he did it. He must have done it. He's had it out for me since day one. He's mad at me because I did it. And this is true. They've had a tenuous... They've had a fraught history. Michael did handcuff Jin to a plane in the beating sun.
Oh yeah, why did he do that?
Because Jin punched him. Jin beat him up in the middle and like for no reason.
Oh yeah.
For no reason. Michael took a watch that he had found.
Oh yeah.
Jin saw that Jin was like, he stole my watch.
So
I'm gonna kill him.
They're men.
Yes, they're men, and they don't speak the same language, and so they share a common language of fisticuffs.
Yeah, they share the universal language.
The universal language of all manly boy men.
It's like that time in my favorite movie, Lost in Translation, whenever Scarlett Johansson goes, "Put him up, Bill Murray," and then they just have like a drunken fist fight.
They have a drunken fist fight, but it is like it's regulation boxing. No hits below the belt.
No hits below the belt.
10
no
rounds.
hits above the belt. Only belt hits.
Only belt. They have a belt only. They have a 10-round belts only boxing match.
So many bruises at the belt line.
After yeah, their body's fine, but boy, their belt line, it's looking tender.
I couldn't fasten my pants for a week.
And they all have a good laugh about it.
I was wearing overalls for a week. That's what they'll say.
Bill Murray, I gotta stock up on overalls after this one.
There are going to be sold out overalls at the Costco after this one, folks. So I've never seen a belt match quite like this.
Wait, do they even have Costco's here in Tokyo? I guess we'll have to find out together.
Is that a quote from the Scarlett Johansson's like music producer boyfriend? And that
yep, that's what.
That's this one line in the movie. It goes, "Do they even have Costco's here in Tokyo?"
And then Scarlett Johansson says, "I'm breaking up with you. You don't microwave your beers or engage in belt boxing with me."
It's such a good movie. I don't know why more people haven't watched it.
It's honestly, don't sleep on Lost in Translation. Folks, I know it was nominated for and maybe won some Academy Awards, but don't sleep on this movie. It's not what you think.
Turn this podcast off right now. Turn on Lost in Translation.
Go watch it, and if you watch it and it's not exactly what we say it is, you can come to our addresses and punch us in the belt.
Yeah, and our address
is
Area 51.
Woo! Keeping it topical. Yeah. So, everybody thinks it's Jin. Michael like confronts Jin and says, "I'm gonna break your damn neck." And
he does say that.
He does say that. And Sun is trying to like. Another thing I want to explain about this dynamic. Sun can speak English, but right now only Michael is aware that Sun can speak English. Jin, of course, can't speak English, so he spends this whole episode being ostracized. Jin goes off, and he has burns on his hands, and he goes to like heal these burns in the river,
water,
in the creek. But who sneaks up on him?
But his own wife.
His own wife, and says, "Please, why don't you just?" I think they have a scene where they're like, "Please explain it to them," but Jin is just kind of like being quiet.
Yeah, he won't really talk to Sun.
Jin, yeah, it's weird. This is definitely an episode where if Jin and Sun talked a little more, a lot of problems would be solved.
Yeah, it's a weird episode. Honestly, I'll say it. Not a great episode of Lost.
Some moments that I like in here, but like overall, like the whole theme is like Jin he's ostracized from everyone else because he can't speak English, and like I understand. I think it's an interesting idea. And I think there are moments throughout season 1 that resonate a lot better. I think that other episode where Jin like just kicks the shit out of Michael out of nowhere is much more effective than this one.
Well, and because it's like things unravel and we find out motive, but in this one it's just like it's just watching bad things happen.
Exactly. And like if Jin just like talked to his wife, and was like just like explained to his wife like I'm trying to like here's my deal. And like the fact that their relationship is so fraught is not necessarily so. The only like real difficulty we get is that absurd scene at the start.
Yeah, and he thinks that Sun has a thing for Michael for reasons unknown. Essentially,
that's right. That's right. In this argument, he basically says like Sun like. I think like Jin is unaware that like people think he did it. He doesn't understand that, and so Sun comes up and says something about Michael, and Jin's like, "Michael, you and Michael, oh, what the heck," and storms off to heal his wounds. And then Sawyer comes up to Jin and just fucking drop kicks him in the neck.
Yeah.
And ties him up and brings him out to the beach for a fucking lynching, I guess.
So it's insane.
It's insane. He literally like Sawyer
he beats Jin and he ties him up, and he brings him out, and then people aren't like, "Sawyer, what the fuck are you doing?" They're all like, Jin is bad.
Yeah, they're like some people are like, I don't know about this one, but like there's multiple people who are like, I don't know, street rules, I guess.
Yeah, he got what's coming to him.
I guess he got what's coming to him. There are people who are like Jack is like
Jack tries to stop it.
Like Michael like storms up to this like scene as it's happening and is like, "Hey man, what the heck? This is as like much as this scene is like, I'm gonna say like it's a little loaded to be like to like ring up a guy that is like ring up an Asian guy who's being otherized.
Yeah.
For like what is effectively this almost mob lynching.
Yeah.
It's a little loaded, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Sawyer literally calls him like Bruce, as in like Bruce Lee. So like cool racism there from Sawyer.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael essentially kicks the shit out of him, and Jack tries to stop it, but then Saeed comes in and goes, "No, this is between them." And then it's like, this is so weird.
It's insane. It's literally
also
like,
it's clear, like you can visually see that Jin has been like essentially being tortured by Sawyer all day.
He's been beat up by him. He's been like Michael punches him. Jin falls down. Jin gets up, says something in Korean to Michael, punches him again. Same thing happens. This happens a couple times.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And like Jin is just kind of like grinning and bearing it kind of.
It's just so rude.
Yeah.
It's just like no apologies after the punches.
Exactly.
No, I mean, even after it's over, they don't go out for a cup of hot beer together.
Yeah.
They don't. There's nothing. Sun has to yell.
Yeah, and Sun yells in
Stop
English.
it. Yeah, and that stops everyone in their tracks.
Everybody says, "Stop it! He didn't burn your raft." And everybody's like, first of all, you can speak English. Second of all, why didn't you tell us this sooner? Hey, I have a great question. That's a great question that I also have, Sun. The tension of like Sun hiding the fact that she knows English is
dumb.
So it's not a thing.
No, it's dumb.
It doesn't make sense. And so that as a thing that's like, whoa, she can just be like, oh, so you mean this could have just not been a problem if this nonsense plot thing wasn't here?
Totally.
Yeah.
This whole situation is like very contrived.
Exactly. So Jin also through this learns that she speaks English.
Yep.
Right? And so he has a weird mix of like, what the heck is going on? I'm confused. And Sun basically explains Jin wasn't trying to burn the raft. He was trying to help put out the raft. He was one of the first ones.
Also, I sort of love that. So that's the explanation.
Yes.
And that's why Jin's hands were burnt. But it's sort of like, Jin, what were you doing? Did he just run out to the raft and go, let me put my hands in the fire to stop it?
Yeah, he was trying to pick up the fire and throw it into the ocean.
No one else has burnt hands.
That's true. Everyone was helping. Everyone else was fine.
How did he burn his hands?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, what the heck are you talking? Why is burnt hands like that's the classic thing is that's the smoking gun that Jin and Sawyer and all the pissed people have. They're like, he's got burnt hands. That's it. That's how you know he must have done it. That's the only explanation. And it's like, just take a second. What are you talking about? Calm down.
They stop beating him up.
They stop beating him up, and Locke comes out, and everybody's like, well, how do we know you're not just covering for him, son? And Locke says, because it's true. Because it's true. I saw Jin putting out the fire too. And guess what? Why are we pointing the fingers at each other when we got a greater threat at our hand? The others.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people in the jungle that are attacking us, sabotaging us. We're not the only people on this island. Why am I the only person mad about this? And then he walks off into the jungle.
It's a great speech.
It's a
good speech. I think he's right.
Here's what I'll say. Locke is right. He succinctly frames why this whole situation is contrived and absurd. Why these guys are they've got bigger problems than not trusting each other.
Uh-huh.
That said, if if the others weren't already known as a group of people that are constantly terrorizing our protagonists,
Yeah.
he would just sound like a crazy guy. He
Yeah.
would just sound like an old weirdo.
Yeah. Which he is, too.
He is. Like, it's true. He is an old weirdo.
But I feel like it gets so justified because they have kidnapped, and then
Yes.
especially that they murdered one of the others already.
That's a big one.
Especially because too, it's just weird that no one else thought of that before. No one's like, oh, maybe it's the people who are trying to kill us.
Yeah, Locke just comes along and is just like, all these tensions are moot, folks. And everybody goes, oh, he's right.
Yeah. So it is very weird. It's like, well, what did we just spend an episode doing?
Yeah,
then?
what was that? This is a premise that works very well in early season 1 when the trust between the survivors is not yet built.
Yeah.
When it's like, who are these people? How are they going to get along? How are they going to trust each other? Now it feels a little less. That doesn't resonate
Feels
as
like
much,
a waste of time.
especially when it's as contrived as this.
Yeah.
Then everybody kind of goes off. Jin and Sun have a little fight where Sun kind of just talks at Jin and says like, why aren't you talking to me? If you just explained to me why you did this, we wouldn't have this. When did you? And then this escalates to, when did we stop talking? When did we become so distant? Why are we like this? And then it culminates with Sun, like, through this, Jin is like packing and like kind of like looking,
he won't
and like
respond.
He won't respond. He's giving him the cold shoulder and is like about to like get out of there. And then Sun says, I was going to leave you, in English. And says, I was going to leave you at the airport for a better life. But then I saw you and thought, maybe the man who still loves me is in there somewhere. And so I stayed. And then he says back in Korean, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to I want to go back to the simple times when it was just us in love. Can we do that? And Jin ponders it and says, I think he says it's too late.
It's too late.
And then he goes
leaves.
off. This is the one scene of the episode that I kind of like.
Yeah.
In the context of the flashbacks especially,
yeah.
It feels like, oh, okay, this is like, I mostly don't really care about the Sun and Jin stuff because their whole shtick is just like,
so dumb.
They get separated, they have a fight, they come back together, then they have a fight, they come back together, then they
Their
get
last words are in English.
Their last words are in English. But this is a scene where it's like, it's well acted by Yoonjin Kim and, I forget Jin's actor's name, but he does a good job too. I think like the acting in this episode is like perfectly fine. It's just like the contrived script that really kind of makes it not sense. But this is a fine scene, IMO. And then Jin goes off, and then we get a montage.
Yeah, of just like everybody
kind of like being like, well, we're on an island. Hurley's listening to music, and the music sounds like it's in headphones, but then it swells to be the whole audio. We get Shannon and Saeed kissing.
Yeah.
We get. I think Walt admits to burning the raft here, and Michael says, "All right, well, whatever,
chill.
That's fine.
At least I got to kick the shit out of Jin.
At least I got to punch Jin a little bit more." And then Charlie and Claire are hanging out. Everyone's hanging out. And then Hurley's sitting on the beach listening to the headphones, and then the Walkman like stutters and dies. And then Hurley like looks at the Walkman and like slaps it and goes, "Ah, damn it," and then throws it aside.
Funny.
And then the episode just ends with like 5 more seconds of just Hurley sitting on the beach in silence.
Yeah, with wave noises.
Which is good.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that
cute.
bit. That's a funny way to sunset that like trope.
Yeah.
It's a funny way to be like, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, this is done.
Yeah.
It was fun for 3 episodes.
Yeah, and we can't keep doing it. There's one more like minor plot on the island that barely matters.
Saeed and Shannon.
So Shannon ties a knot, and Saeed's like, "Oh, were you in the Navy, m'lady? How else could someone tie such a perfect, flawless little knot? Ooh, look at this little knot. Oh, my little heart. Wowee." Saeed loves this fucking knot.
Fucking weird in this episode.
He does a little backflip and then runs in a circle and says, "A perfect bowling knot for little old me." And Shannon says, I'm leaving you.
Yeah. No, she says, "I love you." And then they go their separate ways.
Yeah.
And then Boone goes up to Saeed and goes, "Stay away from the fair maiden. I will kill you. I don't know. I forget what he says that Shannon will do.
Yeah, he's just like, she's bad news, bub. Well, I don't know. And Saeed's like, that was weird. All right. And then Shannon, I think, finds out. I think Saeed and Shannon have a conversation where Shannon's like, has Boone been talking to you? And then Shannon storms off and finds Locke in the jungle.
And he's like, don't worry about Boone. And then Shannon's like, I love Saeed again.
That's it. The main thing I want, this plot is nothing. It's fine. It's whatever. The main reason I want to bring up this plot is because there's a really good moment where Shannon walks up to Locke and Locke's just like gutting a boar. And Shannon says like, this is gross and disgusting. And Locke says, gross to you, dinner to me.
Very weird.
He's
a fucking creep.
Imagine saying that out loud
gross to you, dinner to me.
I'm going to incorporate that into my lexicon now.
Nut job.
Anytime someone calls something gross, I'm going to say, well, it's dinner to me.
Well, it's dinner to me.
Sometimes it's just dinner to you, you know?
Oh, it's dinner to me.
Dinner to you. Dinner to me, hanging on your wall for dinner for me. There's a flashback in this episode also.
There is a flashback, and it is crazy.
It's wild. Jin is standing before Mr. Paik, Sun's daddy.
Sun's powerful daddy.
And he says, you want to work for me? And Jin says, yes, I know I'm a fisherman's son, but I've got ambitions, baby. I'm going all the way to the tippy top. I'm going one step at a time.
Tippy top. I don't think he's asking to work for him. I think he's asking to marry Sun.
You are right. You are absolutely right.
And then the Mr. Paik is like, well, you got to work for me then.
Oh, baby. Here's what it is. Jin says yes. And he says, yes, I'd do anything. And Mr. Paik says, why should I trust a man who so easily gives up his ambitions, his dreams?
Mm-hmm.
And Jin hits him with the, she is my dream.
Oh, cute.
And they shake hands, and a deal is struck. Then we get a scene of them getting married. And Jin and Sun are...
They're just happy.
They're just happy. They're getting married. They're in love. And Jin's like, your dad said yes, and I'm going to start working for your dad. And Sun's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. And Jin says, don't worry. It'll be fine. I'm doing this for us. Nothing's going to go wrong.
But then everything goes wrong.
Everything goes wrong. Mr. Paik says to Jin, I need you to send a message to this factory, this boss of the factory.
It's not a boss of the factory. It's like a... it's a government official.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's a factory?
It's like
then?
the something of environment.
Is it a minister?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, then why is there a factory?
The factory is, I think the government is shutting down the factory because of some sort of regulation.
That's what it is. Okay. That's where this loses me then. Because otherwise this is okay. We'll get into it. But basically, he says this minister is shutting down our factory. I need you to deliver him a message. And Jin is very naive about this.
Yeah,
Jin
says, "Tell him I'm displeased."
Yes.
And then Jin is like, "Okay."
Yeah. And then he's like, "All right, sounds like a plan. Sounds like what I will do. That's my job." Goes to the person's house and introduces himself. The minister or whatever, says like, hey, I'm from Mr. I work for Mr. Paik. And immediately the guy's tone changes and says, come in. Can I get you a drink or what's good? And Jin says, I'm here to deliver a message from Mr. Paik. And the minister says, please, not in front of my daughter. And Jin says, he wants you to know that he's very displeased and that he wants you to let the factories back open, right? And then the guy immediately his tone changes and says, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity. Here, I tell Mr. Paik I owe him a great debt of gratitude. Can I get you a gift? Can I please get you a gift? Here, take this. Take my daughter's dog."
He takes the dog from the hands of his daughter and gives it to Jin.
Yeah,
and it's like he doesn't want a dog.
Very presumptive.
Yeah,
to assume that Jin is and Mr. Paik is a dog. Yeah. But
the dog can stay. Give me cake.
Give me cake. If Jin got a slice of cake, and then the next scene was just him being like, "Slice of cake for a job well done. Don't mind if I do."
Yum yum.
Yum,
or even
yum.
like a, you know those, what is it, fruit, the like dehydrated fruit things.
Yes. Yeah.
One of those.
One of those. Just a little. What if it was a
Little
little pack?
snack.
What if it was a little packet, a Ziploc of trail mix?
Yeah. Yeah. With
Please.
M&Ms in it.
With M&Ms in it, and he says
good stuff.
the M&Ms are a little naughty, but they add a great sweetness to the trail mix. Here,
Yeah.
I bet Mr. Pig will love it. And then Mr. Pig does taste it, and he says, "I do love it.
I do.
Great job, Jin. 100 stars to you."
But that's not what happens,
That's
is
not
it?
what happens. No,
The factory doesn't reopen.
the factory doesn't reopen.
For some reason, the guy just doesn't do what he says he's going to do.
Yeah,
And
he-
he was so scared of
he-
Mr. Pig, but
he
he
was-
just doesn't do it.
He was very like. It seems dumb for him to be like, "Wow, I got the second chance to work for him, and he just doesn't do the thing."
Yeah.
And so Mr. Pig is very displeased. He says, Jin, you can't even deliver a simple friggin' message? What the hell?
You loser.
I'm going to take this guy along with you, and he'll show you how it's done. And he starts driving the guy along, and the guy's, like, putting a silencer on a gun.
This is a murder.
It's a murder.
It's a murder, man.
He's going to murder him. And Jin,
He doesn't like this.
Jin doesn't like this, and the guy's like, keep the car running. Don't drive past the speed limit. You're going to drive to the riverbank, and we're going to leave the car, and you understand. And, like, Jin's like, here, let me do it. It's fine. And he goes in, and he kicks the man's ass. He beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, he beats him half to death.
In front of his daughter.
Yeah.
And he says, the factory opens tomorrow, buddy. And he grabs him by the collar and says, I just saved your life. Throws him down. And he looks and he sees the daughter and he goes, uh-oh, I'm really in it now.
Want your dog back.
And then he goes to wipe the blood off his hands in his room. And Son comes in and says, you got blood on your hands. What are you doing? What the heck? And Son slaps him and Jin says, I do this for your dad. I do this for us. And Son leaves crying. And then Jin is also crying, turns out.
And that's their story.
That's their story. There's one more scene, but before we get into it, I want to talk about, hey, Jin, how did you get so far in this apparently super corrupt, like, mob company without, like, how is this the moment where you clue in that this is, like, that what you're doing is murder and enforcement?
I don't know.
How does it get to this point?
This whole plot line doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Lost has
really.
never been to Korea.
No, I don't think they have. I don't think that they have.
Lost has never even seen a movie about Korea.
That
Lost saw the movie Old Boy once.
Yes, and then they were like, "Damn,
Korea's crazy.
In Korea, there's a dog."
There's one dog, and they give dogs as gifts in Korea.
The dog is the famous Korean symbol for "Thank you for sparing my life."
My daughter's dog.
My daughter's dog, my firstborn's doggy.
I'll bet you my daughter's dog. Korean dads are always saying that to one
That's
another.
true. They
Bet
always
you my daughter's dog.
my favorite. No, and so it's bizarre. As with everything else, it's like not like. It's not as contrived as later Sun and Jin stuff, but like on revisiting, it's very clearly like, what is like what?
It's dumb.
How did this happen? We get one final scene.
Yeah.
One final scene. Jin goes to the docks, and who's at the docks in a boat? But his daddy. His daddy's. So he's been all episode. He's been saying to Mr. Pake and Son. He's been saying, my dad. He died a long time ago. And turns out his dad is alive and well, thriving in a boat.
He's just living in a boat.
Mm-hmm.
My dad lives in a boat. He does.
My dad lives in a boat. He does, says Jin to his dad. And his dad's like, I love you. And it's true, I do live in a boat. And they hug and they catch up on old times.
And he says, Dad, you're clammy as always.
and Dad says, that's just how I like my skin to feel, baby.
That's how I like it. I rub my skin in mustard in the mornings.
and Jin says, this is why I lied about why you're alive to all my close relatives.
My mustard dad.
I didn't want them meeting my mustardy dad. And I think that's fair.
Beautiful ceremony. Incredible. Wonderful wedding, Sun and Jin. Who is the man in the mustard?
Oh, that's the father of the groom.
Oh my god.
How embarrassing.
Mustard Dad.
Mr. Pake would not be having that.
No,
Mr. Pake would see that.
So that's why they canceled the dad.
That's why they canceled the dad. But he's back. And
he's back, baby.
He's back. And the real reason is just because he was ashamed
I doused myself in sauerkraut.
and he says, this is more socially acceptable to me. And so they chat and they're like, oh, I'm glad you're married, son. And Jin's like, it's really complicated between us. We're drifting apart. And also, I'm a hitman now, I guess. I'm an enforcer. Yeah. So everything's pretty crazy. And his dad says, you know what? First of all, you're my son. Doesn't matter what you do. I'll love you no matter what. You could disown my mustard-loving ass. You could tell all your loved ones I'm dead, and you could not visit me for years. I still love you so much. Which is like... First of all, it's nice to have a good dad on the show for once.
Yeah, it's
nice. Second of all, he also says, like, you were saying to me, what was that thing you were saying to me the other day, Jin? Jin, old boy. You were telling me that you have a delivery of watches that you and son are going to on Oceanic Flight 815 to America. Well, here's what I think. I think you make this delivery for Mr. Pake, and then you run away. You and son run away together, and you guys say, start a whole new life in America. Save your marriage. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I'm just a humble fisherman from rural South Korea.
I am but a mustard dad.
I am but a mustard dad, and I don't know a hill of beans about you high society types.
But never come back.
And I'll see you again in 500 years. No, I won't, because you will... No, Jin never makes it off the island. So, never sees Jin again.
No, he never sees Jin again.
Yep, Jin dies. Sorry.
Jin dies.
Jin dies and son dies.
And then Jin dies.
And then Jin dies. After this rousing speech from his dad, Jin says, well, time to die, and just dives into the ocean and doesn't come back out.
Yeah. No, but that's what happens. That's the end.
That's
he says
the end.
Never come back, and then it's like goes to the island and they do their thing.
That's sad. Oh, and then also in the montage, I forgot. In the montage, there's Jin is helping rebuild the raft.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's like well, I got ostracized from everyone, and my wife is keeping a secret from me. So I guess it's on me to rebuild it all.
So,
fuck off.
It's
What?
okay. I don't know.
It's whatever. It's not a good episode.
Bad.
It's not a good episode. I'm sweaty. I'm tired. I want to hear if this episode raised any questions.
It raised 2 questions.
Okay, I'm excited to hear both of them.
1. Why was Hurley on the TV screen in Jin's flashback?
Yes. We failed to mention this. When Jin first delivers the message, the bad message,
the dog and the daughter are watching Hurley.
They're watching Hurley. They're watching the Hurley cam.
Yeah, Hurley cam.
They're watching. The reason that Hurley's on the TV is because a camera follows Hurley around and broadcasts it to everywhere in the world.
Just mostly Korea, actually.
They broadcast it everywhere, but it didn't really catch on anywhere except for Korea. And Korea loves it.
Daughters and dogs.
North and South.
Great show for daughters and dogs.
They say a great show for daughters and dogs. And Hurley walks around and just lives his life and says, oh, I'm winning the lottery. And you know what else? I have a crush on this record store girl. Whoa.
Doi. But why was it?
Because he won the lottery. It was news.
You're right.
That's
question number 2. And I didn't even know this one was raised.
Okay.
What is Locke's issue with his father?
What?
I know.
What?
It's so stupid.
What?
It seems like this must be a mistake.
There are 2... Okay, I'm thinking of the 2 times we've seen Locke in this episode. One was the scene with Shannon.
Yeah.
Maybe it came up then, but I don't think so.
It.
And then the other scene is him ranting at
the others.
Talking about the others.
Yeah.
When in the heck did that happen?
I think this is a mistake. But what is it? What's Locke's issue with his father?
Stole his kidney, threw him out a window. The whole, classic strained father-son relationship.
You covered it entirely.
Yeah.
The 2 points: kidney and window.
Kidney and window. When you boil it all down, you might have a struggling relationship with your dad. But at the end of the day, did your dad steal your kidney and throw you out the window? Then, maybe. Here's a fun game to all the listeners. Go ahead and listen back to this whole episode and try to pick out the points where you can tell that I'm trying not to go off about the Oland verdict.
Oh, it happened today. Dennis is not guilty.
It happened today. Dennis is not guilty. We're too late in the episode to go off about it, but it's
big news.
It's big news out of St. John, New Brunswick. I'll tell you that much for free.
Dennis got away.
Dennis, shout out to Dennis Oland. That's, I guess,
you did
maybe,
it, bud.
You did it. Thanks. I'm glad we can all rest easy knowing that the justice system maybe works if you're rich and white sometimes.
Dennis Oland. Officially not a murderer.
Officially, in the eyes of the law, not a murderer.
Not a murderer.
That's great news. Great stuff.
When you think about it, all Dennis Oland got today was the thing that we all have.
It's
true. It's just being officially not a murderer
That's
in the eyes
true.
of the law.
He's got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah. Oh my God. But then in the eyes of other people, maybe it's still a murderer. I don't know.
You know, we could talk at length about it.
Yeah.
But we won't.
That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast. That's our next podcast is a deep dive into the Oland trial.
My God.
We're going all the way in. Just kidding. Instead, we're going to end this podcast the same way we always do, by saying a bunch of stuff.
I had to look up another episode.
Oh, yes, another episode. First, before we do anything else.
I did it already.
Oh, my God. What was the number?
13.
13. I want to say maybe we've watched that one already. We have not. Season 2, episode 20, 2 for the road. And I'm just confirming, this is an Ana Lucia episode.
Ah, boo.
It's our last Ana Lucia episode.
Thank God.
So we'll say goodbye to Ana Lucia and bid her a farewell and say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And then we will say hello to our Twitter handles, which is you can follow me on twitter.com @BarrierTrio.
And me at James Brown. That's ATJamesBROWN.
WN, baby. And you can follow the show on Twitter @Island Shuffle. Or you can follow us on Facebook.com/TheIslandShuffle. And finally, we would like to give a shout out to Noisepace.xyz for hosting us humbly. All 102 episodes of us can be found on Noisepace.xyz. And if you've gone through them all and you think, I need more podcasts to listen to right now, we've got great news, bud, because there's a bunch. There's so many good podcasts there. Podcasts like The Wonder Years, an Endomorphs podcast.
Yes.
City Girls Make Do, a Sex and the City podcast.
Uh-huh.
And Podcasting is Forbidden in the Cloud Recesses, which is a Mo Dao Zushi podcast. I finally got it right. I finally know off the top of my head what this podcast, the name of the thing this podcast is about.
It's Mo Dao Zushi, obviously.
Obviously, it's Mo Dao Zushi, otherwise known as Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation.
Who needs to know what it's otherwise known as when we're all so familiar with the terms Mo, Dao, Zu, She. I actually have this show now because of listening to this podcast. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this show now,
Okay.
and I'll let you know how it is. I'm gonna let you know how it is. It's from the way they talk about it. Sounds like a heck of a ride. Anyways, also, Patreon.com/Noisepace. Send a couple bucks to Matt's way if you'd like, because he hosts this out of his little pockets.
He pays.
And his pockets are tiny. One thing I'll tell you about Matt of Nintendo GameCube, and I'll stand by this to the grave. Tiniest pockets I ever did see.
Smallest. You should see him.
Good luck fitting a thimble in those pockets.
Oh my God, you couldn't even fit until the camel passes through the eye of the needle that is Matt's pocket. A rich man shall never enter the gates of heaven.
Damn. But a rich man will get a not guilty verdict.
Amen.
And on this Palm Sunday and Ash Wednesday, we will wish you all a happy birthday. And of course, we'll say the thing that we say at the end of every episode of this